Welcome to Decades of Horror, the classic era.
The garden is filled with these giant lumps of dirty washcloths. Monsters.
This is episode 195, recorded January 12th, 2025. Hey, that's our first one.
Gruesome Magazine.
Woohoo.
My name is Jeff Mohr. On this podcast, we cover the good, the bad, maybe even the ugly horror films released since
What do you mean, maybe?
Through 1959. In each episode, we'll discuss the monster, spirit, psychos, and villains that have haunted movie-going audiences since the dawn. Got a little tripe caught in my throat. Dawn of film. With me this week are my incredible co-hosts. Chad Hunt, co-host on Decades of Horror, the All of Them, a film producer, director with Wreak Havoc Production, and a comic book artist and writer. Ooh. How you doing, Chad?
I'm a little mushy.
A little mushy.
Yeah. Take that however you will.
Too much tripe. I'm
sorry. Soft everywhere.
I'm beating that to death. Also with us is Daphne, who is awesome, stupendous, and likable as hell. How you doing, Daphne?
Being super good. It's great to see you guys as usual, and Bill's here.
Yeah, great to see you.
Great.
And also is Doc Rotten, head Kemosabe. How you doing, Doc?
Doing good. Talk to
me. Finally, Bava Bill Mulligan is with us for reasons.
Bava Bill.
What reasons could there be?
Bava Billy.
Bill?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing great.
And he's a published author too.
That's right. That's right. Carries his book wherever he goes.
Didn't copy my intro.
Bava could turn this into a monsters. Look, it's a giant book, and it's way bigger than he is as it walks across the screen.
He's also a special effects guru, writer, director, and all-around nice guy. I hear. Jack
of all trades. Yeah, master of none.
All right. Well, decades.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, excellent. Thanks for being here. I always hear echoes in my mind whenever we do Bava or stop motion movies of people going afterwards, going, "Where the hell's Bill?
Yeah, where's Bill? Where's his contribution?"
Oh, man, I didn't think of that. So anyway, Bill is here. We are partnering with Playdown Media, who have several streaming channels. And in fact, Decades of Horror, the classic era is on the classic sci-fi movie channel, the classic horror movie channel, and the Wicked Horror TV channel. They are giving us a promotion right now with some promo codes. And the last time I announced this on here, I don't believe I ever actually said the promo code. So the promo code for classic era is DOH60. DOH, all caps, 60. To take advantage of this promo code, you have to be a new subscriber and you have to subscribe through their website. And the links to the websites are on our website at any blog for any recent episode of Decades of Horror. So what you get for that promo code is 20% off your first payment. So if you sign up for the monthly plan, you get $6.99. It's $6.99 a month, so you'll get 20% of that off, which is $1.40. If you sign up for the annual plan, which is $49.99, you will get 20% off that, which is $10. So you can get a year of one of these channels for $40, and you can use that code for all three of those channels if you want to subscribe to all of them at once.
But not at McDonald's. I'm
just saying. Yeah, probably won't work at McDonald's.
My code is DOH60.
So sign up for that, and they got some great stuff there. So check them out. Spoiler alert: we're going to spoil the heck out of this movie because it's only
100 years
65 years old.
Yeah,
did I do that
older
right?
Than
66.
Me. Dang.
So go check it out. It's on Tubi right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what we do here is we start by giving some basic details of the film we're covering, followed by each of our first impressions of the movie. And then we'll move into a general discussion of whatever trips are triggered, hopefully related to the film.
Yeah,
so we're not making any promises. So All right. So our topic today is Caltiki, the Immortal Monster, released in 1959. And that hand there is, it's not detached. So Chad,
It's okay,
should be
Chad.
with
It's
that.
still attached to
I
his
was
shoulder.
a little worried, but
Yeah.
It's got a,
I saw the body attached to it. I was okay.
but it's got a cool scene in the movie. So this is directed by Riccardo, Freda, and Mario Bava, which we will discuss later. Freda was billed as Robert Hampton. Apparently he hadn't got his usual pseudonym completely decided on yet and added the P later to be Hampton. Written by Filippo Sangiust as Philip Just and Riccardo Freda. The cast includes John Maryville, Dee Dee Sullivan, Gerard Herder, Daniela Rocca, Giacomo Rossi Stewart, and Arturo Dominici, and Gail Pearl. And I had to put Gail in because she does this awesome voodoo dance.
Yeah.
And that's when she realizes that some dummy named Bob is taking her picture against the rules.
Yeah.
All right. The production company is Galatea Film, Climax Pictures, and Lux Films. Filming locations, basically in the studios there, but Grotto di Pastina in Rome is for the interiors of the cave. And then, I could never decide on the picture. I thought this was pretty cool.
That's cool.
Nieto comes staggering out of the cave. Release dates, August 8th, 1959 in Italy, and September 20th, 1960 in the U.S. Box office, 94.15 million lira, which is about $152,000 at that time.
That's
Synopsis.
Pre-Spielberg backlighting there.
It is.
Hey, yeah.
Very.
It's cool. I love how it kind of goes up. Synopsis. A team of archaeologists in Mexico encounter an amorphous blob-like monster that appears to be connected with the collapse of the Mayan civilization. And I don't know, blob antics ensue, I guess.
Blob antics.
Blob
yes.
antics.
Blob-like antics.
Blob shenanigans.
Okay, so this one is Chad's pick, 2 in a row for Chad.
As you couldn't guess by the big head in your screen right now.
We jumbled our order. We're going into the new year with a different order of picks. And Chad picked Caltiki, the Immortal Monster. Tell us about that, Chad. What were your first impressions?
I had never seen this before in my life. And but I've always seen it like on Tubi, but I was like, man, that sounds stupid. But I didn't know Bava was involved in it. So when we had talked about it a few times on the show, so I saw that it was on Tubi. So I said, well, let's try it out. Let's see what's going on with it. And I really liked it. It was an above average creature feature. It was more or less a rip on the Blob, more or less. The special effects were way ahead of what you would get in that the U.S. version of the Blob. I mean, you saw flesh being melted off, human bone, and faces getting melted off, and all kinds of cool stuff that I thought was really cool for a night. This was a 1959 movie, and
Yes,
so I thought all that was really cool stuff, really gruesome stuff too. The effects of the monster, we'll find out later on what those were, but the effects for the monster were really, really interesting to me, and made it look like some kind of weird Lovecraft creature, for sure. The way that you could see tiny little reflections all over, and it looked like streams of stars. or something to me. Sometimes you saw little spikes on it, different stuff like that. It just looked like a real good creepy monster. Yeah, there's some miniature work in there that could have used some work, I think, but pretty good for what it was, and it was good. I really enjoyed it. It was an above average monster movie, I think, and the whole conceit behind the monster, destroying civilizations and that kind of thing, was really cool, and to see the monster like divide and split up was just spot on special effects to me for the time. So I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, excellent. I'm glad you picked it. Daphne, how about you? Had you seen this before?
I hadn't seen it before. I've seen bits of it, but I don't know. I can't remember, or I can't figure out if was like still photos or maybe catching it on something. I don't know, but because I recognize some scenes, but I haven't seen it all the way through on its own, and I really liked it too. A lot of the things that Chad said were things I was thinking about. I was so surprised, pleasantly surprised, and loved the gore parts, the separating the blob from that one guy's arm, and just the slow reveal and the goopy bits hanging off, and and I like the story. You know, it's a fun story, and I wasn't so sure about the blob at first, but later on when it started to grow, I really appreciated the look of it, especially how tactile it was, and yeah, and the bad guy was bad and gross, and no question about it. You wanted to punch him in the face, so that was fun, and I just liked the characters too, so I thought it was really fun. Yeah, it sucked me in, and I enjoyed watching it.
I did too. Thank you. And now for Bava, Bill Mulligan.
Bill.
So
when I started getting into Bava and looked up everything, and I'd heard of Caltiki, but I didn't realize it had anything to do with it. I really wanted to see it because I think it's his only monster movie. And I'm really into monsters, and I love the Blob and Blob adjacent films, but it was never on TV, like ever, in upstate New York. Never once. And I would, go through the TV guide religiously every week looking for these holy grails. So I ended up ordering it through one of the gray market things. Might have been Video Search at Miami or something weird. I don't think it was those guys, because they usually gave you good stuff. What I got was pretty wretched. It was cropped. It was probably from a TV print. It wasn't in color or black and white. It was in gray and darker gray. Just looked super subpar, bad dubbing, not a great viewing experience. And it was like, okay, that's all right, I guess. But watching it again now, and it's been a while since I saw it. Thanks so much, Chad, for picking this, because getting to see it again with a decent print was great. It looks super good. This is what I expect from Bava. Great cinematography, because he was at that time, especially first and foremost, a cinematographer and special effects guy. It looks terrific, and knowing what the creature was made of and the little tricks and things they did to give it some production value makes you appreciate it even more. Other than that, it gets better as it goes along. It's a little oddly paced, but it gets exciting at the end. And before we get into our monster adventure, we do get a really good performance from the bad guy. He's definitely crazy. And watching him begin to, as the infection is affecting his brain, it kind of reminded me of Hammer's the original Catermass movie.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool. So yeah, this is a fun movie. It really holds up, and definitely, if you can, I prefer to watch the original undubbed version, because when it's dubbed, you pretty much get dubbing. The acting, who knows how good the acting was really, but when it's dubbed, it always seems bad. So, but not everybody likes reading subtitles. I, after a while, forget that they're even subtitles. I hear the voices in my head just reading it and all. but this was great. So thanks for picking it, Chad.
Yeah, thanks.
It looks great on Tubi too. I
Mhm.
was really impressed with how good
Excellent.
it looked.
Tubi does a good job of finding some pretty good sources for their stuff.
Mhm.
We love you,
Okay.
Tubi.
Time for Doc Rotten.
Yeah, so I knew of this film, but I had never really watched it. So this was the first time I've actually sat down and focused and watched this movie, and it's gorgeous. The black and white photography on this is absolutely gorgeous. It's a great movie to watch and look at all the shadows and the lighting. Bava did a tremendous job with the cinematography. The bad guy that we were talking about, everybody else is kind of like a stick in the mud, but the bad guy,
Yeah.
the bad guy really chews up the scenery, and his spoilers, his demise is a highlight of the film. I wasn't prepared for it to be, even though I knew about the film, I never occurred to me that it was a blob-like movie. I was thinking it was something else. But at the same time, it was actually a blast to watch. It really did remind me of the Blob. But at the same time, Bill, I think you're 100% right. It is Quatermass, like the first Quatermass experiment is kind of where you feel it has some similarities with the creatures look and feel. And the arm business is kind of similar. It's different. It's entirely different, but there's similarities. There's also some Lovecraftian themes going in here too, kind of masked with the Mayan stuff. It was a lot of fun. I watched it in both the Italian, with the English subtitles, and then I watched the English dubbing. And the English dubbing is a hoot. It's really bad. It's really ridiculous and silly. The Italian with the English subtitles is the way to go. But regardless, I recommend this film. It's a blast. It's a blast. It's fun.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I also watched the multiple different versions. I bought I bought the Arrow Blu-ray a couple years ago, I think, when it came out, waiting for when we did this, and I was not disappointed. And it has both versions on it. It's got you can do dubbing or Italian. And,
does it have the Sesame Street version where they all do the Muppet voices instead of?
No. That one, they didn't put that on. But they do have two commentaries, one by Tim Lucas and one by Troy Howarth. So two different ones. And a piece on Riccardo Freda and another piece on the genesis of Caltiki, and a thing on from Quatermass to Caltiki, kind of what movies came along at that time. So yeah, you guys have all tagged onto that, and I thought some of the same thing. A lot like the first Quatermass, in terms of, we've got scientists, we got this blobby thing that's going to destroy the world, and also X the Unknown, which was a sort of a Quatermass copy. Let's make a Quatermass film. No, you can't do that. Okay, we'll do this. So anyway, I liked it a lot. And the Blob, I thought that thing was creepy as hell. I watched that and I thought, what is that made of? God, that is disgusting. And I looked it up, and it got even more disgusting.
No.
It is disgusting. Yeah.
And I thought, that doesn't look like that. And I looked up what it looks like, and yeah, it does look like that. So anyway, yikes. And there's lots of good effects in here, I think. With that, I think we'll move on. And the bad guy. Wow, it's such a bad guy. Wow, is he a bad guy? Anyway, let's move on from there. So that's all of our first impressions, which means it's now time for
Feedback.
Taglines with Chad.
Sure.
How many could there be?
As played by Chad, his own self. Yeah.
I could have sworn it was time for feedback.
Feedback. Straight to feedback he goes.
Yeah. All right.
Dang, Chad, we're in double digits for this one.
Good Lord.
These are good too, though. I think.
Yeah.
I think. These are
Yeah,
pretty
we'll
good.
see about that. Okay, taglines for Caltiki. Will the first life on Earth be the last terror of man?
Okay.
Could be
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. The answer is yes.
full circle.
Terror amok. Hungry for the flesh of the world.
Ooh.
Towering over jungle and city. Why am I doing this? Creeping, multiplying, devouring.
Towering over jungle and city.
End City. Yeah.
As
Sounds like one of those disaster films from the 70s. Caltiki devouring, towering Caltiki. No. Stripping flesh from bone, creeping, multiplying, devouring, hungry for the blood of a world. Did I just read that one?
No, you said the flesh of the world. Apparently, that wasn't enough. It had to go back for seconds for the
Okay.
blood.
a human flesh of
Come on down and see the grotto of death under the earth's oldest wilds. Blood-stirring rituals of ancient death cults. The living curse from 20 million years of time. The monster revived from the first life of creation. The towering tide of terror crawling over jungle and town. The death dance of the voodoo virgin. So come on down and see it today.
We
know,
got
I was-
everything.
Well, I will show you where that is on the posters. But I saw that on the poster. And went, oh my god, I got to copy that over. And I went over there,
Yeah.
and it was already there. Somebody
That's
already
a lot
said
to fit on a poster, man.
it. Well, I would have put C in front of every one of them. See the living curse. See the monster. Anyway.
I like how maybe you don't want to see the world destroyed, but what about if a virgin dances?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
A voodoo virgin.
Did you watch the Virgin Dance, Chad?
I did watch the virgin dance.
Okay.
You're not supposed to.
I had my finger over the fast forward button, though, I tell you, until she started dancing.
Hmm.
Then all of a sudden my finger froze. I got a cramp in my finger. Run! You can't escape it. Hide! It will hunt you down.
Wow.
Slimy gob of greasy, grimy gopher guts of doom engulfs the world.
Slimy glob
That's a
of
great
doom.
flaming glob. Well, that's
Yeah.
a marketing term.
That's
If I ever heard one.
Crawling, crushing colossus of terror. None can stop it. Nothing can kill it. The ever-growing thing.
Yeah, that last one was kind of in love with alliteration.
yeah.
Still terror clutches you, and there's no escape from Caltiki, the undying monster.
Very good.
Armies of the world combat deadly menace. Death dance of the voodoo virgin. Whole cities swallowed up by gruesome mile-high globs.
My
That's
alive.
for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. And notice they're not blobs. Were they worried
Blob.
about?
I think they
Yeah.
were. I
Yeah.
think they probably were worried about copyright.
This
That
is a
came out weird.
glob. This is a glob, not a blob.
Beware of the glob. It creeps and leaps.
Anyway, that's
Well, I
it for
guess.
There you go.
I guess that's the last one. So that's been Taglines with Chad.
Chad's our hero, cool and rad. With him reading taglines, they can't be that bad.
And
And now it's time to go.
oh no, not
That was
yet.
a lot of taglines, but those are good taglines.
Yeah, they
weren't too bad.
they were miles
Yeah.
above what we've had here lately.
Yeah.
They were fun, that's for sure. So let's take a look at the posters. It's some of those were on. And oh Lord. I mean, okay.
Yeah. Well, that's how you fit all those taglines on. Look at that.
There
This
you
is
go. Yeah.
That's
This is
yeah.
a tagline
and
poster.
a scene that doesn't happen, but
No.
is threatened.
If-
The
if-
glob is not bigger than the skyscrapers.
No, no. But he could have gotten there.
He
Maybe
could
he
have gotten there. Yeah.
If the guys with the flamethrowers hadn't shown up, this would have been a
Mhm.
scene in the movie. So,
Mhm.
okay, we'll give him that.
I remember reading descriptions of this movie before ever watching it, and it would say something about a Mayan god comes back to life, and I was thinking it was going to be this statue walking around like the golem, Roddy McDowell, and so nothing like that ever interested me. If I'd have known it was about a glob like this, I would have watched it 20 years ago.
Oh yeah,
that's what I thought too. And in fact, they talk about Caltiki, the immortal goddess, the goddess Caltiki that's made up. There is no real Mayan goddess called Caltiki. But anyway, they go down there, they find the statue, and all that does is that's where the glob hangs out, basically.
It must be Caltiki.
Yeah, I guess.
Underwater.
She suffered over the years, is all I could say. All right. And we have El Monstro Immortale. That's the undying.
I just love the expressions on all the women's faces.
I know. Oh my God.
Oh,
too many clothes on for this poster. We've seen it.
I was going to say the one on the right standing a little too close to the flames, I think.
Yeah. Yikes.
oh my God.
She's a redhead, though. That's it.
Oh, and then there's the
voodoo virgin.
Well, it could be. I was thinking, okay, yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
I was thinking it was I can't think of her name, Daniela.
Is she a virgin?
And poster 3.
Frankenstein. Oh.
Yeah. That's
Pretty kinda.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know that there's any globs from this poster.
The hand is reaching out to grab the woman.
There's no hands.
It just seems placed strangely to me. Like,
Look, they've got Caltiki in small microscopic
little
red
tiny
letters on it.
I would assume this looks like some German expressionism film, just another crazy guy running around strangling women in negligees. And don't get me wrong, my butt's in the seat for that, but I'd be a little disappointed, I think, if I went in expecting that and instead I get rampaging globs.
okay,
And all of a sudden, the heroine of the picture is down there doing the voodoo virgin dance at the bottom of the poster.
Yeah. I was wondering what
know.
that was.
Now, actually, if the woman dressed like this is actually in the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Only she's
sort of dressed like that. Yeah. I believe she had straps in the nightgown,
but it is interesting.
But it is,
when you look at this.
It looks like her.
How are they getting people into the theater? We've got a scary looking guy. We have a woman in distress. We've got a clutching hand, and we've got some people dancing. It's like, so.
It's got it all.
We got to remember, not everyone was like Chad back then. Movies often, for no damn reason at all, would break into music. People would start singing, and there's a band. Where'd they come from? And have they been practicing for this moment? That's how movies were.
Well, even when I was a kid, before VCRs, I would just use that musical numbers to go make a sandwich.
Good move.
That was fast forward back then, kids.
That's right.
You don't know how easy I got it today.
Yeah,
fast forward multitasking.
You had to bust it while the commercials were on too. Yeah. All right. Well, so this is directed by. The credit is given to Riccardo Freda. So this is why Bill is here.
Yeah.
Explain this to us, Bill. What the heck was going on here?
Well, it's okay. Many of the people involved in this are now dead. Pretty much all of them. So, we have to take what we get. And the story that Freda and Bava were good friends and collaborators. I believe a lot of the movies, I'm giving you a few things here. Lust of the Vampire was I Vampiri, which was another one of those that apparently Bava shot, depending on who you talk to, a lot or a little. Freda had the habit of leaving. And this seems to be a story that happens a lot, especially where Bava's concerned, that the directors would flounce off, snit over something, and he would finish it and get no credit for it. But they knew he could do it. He was the cinematographer, so, just has to not only cinematograph, but also tell people where to walk. Freda is an interesting filmmaker that doesn't get the credit that Bava. He made a lot more movies than Bava, I think. but they're kind of scattered. They're all over the place. He did a lot of the Muscle Man, the Peplum, Hercules kind of stuff. He did a little bit of everything. He didn't specialize in fantasy the way Bava did, so he doesn't get the credit. But I'll tell you, if you guys haven't done the horrible Dr. Hitchcock and its sequel, The Ghost, top notch, good stuff, and very creepy. Yeah, horrible Dr. Hitchcock's about necrophilia. I mean, you can only show so much or discuss it so much.
That's always a good time.
It is a great topic for the 1950s.
The title did not actually draw me in.
No.
So I was thinking, well, what? Anyway.
Instead of horrible, it should say the necrophiliac Dr. Hitchcock.
Well, yeah.
Then you'd not
there you go.
Figure it out.
Then I'd have watched it, yeah.
And, he did some giallo. He did a lot of different stuff. He's a good director. But the story that he says, I'm a little dubious, but okay, we're all heroes in our own adventure. His story is that he deliberately left Caltiki with anywhere from a couple days to a couple weeks, depending on who you talk to, of stuff left to do to give Bava his chance to direct. It was an altruistic thing. I'm a little dubious, but I wasn't there. I know. I wasn't there, though. So, it definitely worked out. He was of the opinion, and this would be consistent with Bava's personality, that Bava was kind of a go along, get along kind of guy, did not like making waves, was very modest, maybe to a fault, and may have just been happy to stay being a special effects guy and cinematographer if he hadn't gotten this push to direct, and then the directing bug bit him and he realized he could actually get a lot more of his artistic vision accomplished, not being work for hire, filming other people's stuff, but doing it himself. So it's not completely implausible. But I don't know. And we still don't know how much of this movie he shot. But Freda is good. Freda is worth seeking out. He's a good filmmaker, very good camera movement. He's an interesting guy and probably deserves more attention than he gets. I haven't watched all of his films.
I've seen The Witch's Curse, and it's actually the Corey Feldman tour for 2024 last year.
Huh.
And it was actually pretty good. Corey Feldman tour.
I don't know what that is.
Couldn't just go along with it.
I get it.
Now you got to explain the joke and strangle every bit of humor from it.
I was excited.
The show.
I know.
I was excited when you said that, because I was like, oh, I was just going to ask Bill if he'd seen The Witch's Curse, because that story actually sounds kind of interesting. And so, darn it.
I haven't seen Iguana with the Tongue of Fire either. But
now that sounds like, the title sounds like giallo, but
yeah, I think it is giallo.
So Bill, listening to these commentaries, and I think it was Lucas, not Howarth.
Whatever Tim Lucas says, I will accept as absolute gospel. He knows more about Bava. He's forgotten more about Bava than I'll ever know.
His version of it was just like they said, that he thought Bava should be a director, and he just bugged out so that he could do it, try to build a reputation. But they also said, when people said he left a couple days before the end of production, that what he was talking about was he directed the scenes that were just all actors.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what he considered the standard production. Bava did everything that's got what sounded to me like everything that's like in the caves and has the monster and the miniatures and all that stuff, which ends up being a lot.
Yeah. So a huge chunk of the last 20 minutes would have to be Bava directed.
And I think Freda actually said in some interview that this was Bava's movie, regardless of what. So I don't, who knows how nice he was being to a friend and whatever. So I'm just relaying what my version of what he said is. Someone else listens to that, they might have heard something else.
It is interesting if you read interviews with the Italian genre directors, how everyone has their own version of stories of difficult productions. And they'll tell you everything from, I directed every single second that was in this film, to someone else saying, we never saw that guy on set. And you're like, are these parallel universes that you live in? They both can't be true.
I don't know where I was reading it. I think it might have been one of the commentaries was talking about some director that was very heavy and out of shape and not in very good health. And he would show up for the morning and then kind of like, then the rest of the day he'd be sleeping.
Yeah.
This other guy did it. And although he would swear up and down that he did the whole thing. So anyway, yeah. So I need to check into some Freda stuff because this has enough promise. Doc, have you seen any of these?
I think the I Vampire didn't.
Yeah.
Felt like we did that one.
Yeah.
But the others, no, not at all.
I've seen Horrible Dr. Hitchcock a lot on lists on streaming channels.
That's
and
good.
I just thought, oh, this sounds stupid to me. Why would you use that name? And then I don't know, just weird.
I started watching The Witch's Curse, but the version I had was really, really bad, and it was just hard to follow visually. And yeah, so I'm hoping to find another one.
And I don't know too many necrophiliacs, but the two that I do know are horrible people.
Yeah.
But are they doctors?
No, neither one is a doctor. So how they got access to a
But do they
hospital?
claim to be doctors?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got some early Bava here.
Ooh.
So here's
And
a mess of stuff that I think he is not officially a director on any of these, but he worked on them. The guy was, and not always credited either. They're not great on credits of these. And it was worth looking up. So like this one, there's a Spartacus film here. And the cool thing is you can see where Bava has his influence because they've got 20 guys dressed up as Romans and he's got to make it look like a Roman army.
Mm-hmm.
And he does. He uses mirrors and split screen and all kinds of tricks that if you're aware of them, the technology wasn't great. So sometimes you can see there's a little flaw at the edge. Oh, there's where he had a mat or a glass painting or something, but absolutely terrific and did a lot of the Hercules stuff, a lot of the special effects there and everything. And he eventually did his own Hercules movie, Hercules in the Haunted World. He's a big part of these. The Day the Sky Exploded, some cool science fiction, but lots and lots of Steve Reeves stuff.
Well, and I think The Day the Sky Exploded was talked about in these commentaries, I think, and I'm probably going to mix up, but they talked about how cheap a production it was, but how much he made out of it.
Yeah.
With the tricks that he uses.
And we should mention Bava is a second generation special effects filmmaker. His father was probably the first to really make his name in Italian films. A lot of the films that he worked on are probably lost forever, lost from the war, or just, fell apart and never got saved. But quite a good artist. And that's where Bava got a lot of his... There's a really cool story that Tim Lucas tells where as a kid, Bava did a painting and showed it to his dad, and he had signed his name at the bottom, Mario Bava, and his dad slapped him and told him, how dare you put your name down? You don't have the skills. Michelangelo puts his name down. Are you Michelangelo? And us hearing it sounds like this is the worst dad ever. But he explains that was first of all, in Italy at the time, I don't think it is anymore. If you wanted to get your point across, you slap someone, especially a kid, because they would remember that as, you would. But that he was taught to be modest, to, that as a filmmaker, you're part of a team. This is not a Mario Bava production. You're doing your part and there's everyone else. And that probably stuck with him because he sure didn't seem to make a big stink about not getting credited. Tim Lucas has done as great a job as anyone can of finding how many films he worked on, and it keeps on growing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of films that have it's like, well, that kind of looks like something very Bava-esque, but of course everyone's gone now, so we don't know. But he lent his skills to quite a few productions.
I hadn't heard about the Jerry Lewis movie on top.
It does look like Jerry, doesn't it?
I've been a bad boy.
Yeah, I mean, these guys did their stuff, and again, that's probably why we know Bava is that at a certain point, everything he did was fantasy or at least suspense. So he stayed within a certain genre and got very successful at it. Most of the Italian directors, Lucio Fulci, they made westerns, and even Bava made a couple of westerns. They did a little bit of everything. They did whatever was hot at the time, and didn't specialize in the fantastic as much as Bava did. But he was just gifted for it. He had the ability to do all these special effects. Naturally, is going to gravitate you toward making films that nobody else could pull off. Nobody else could pull off Planet of the Vampires.
Well, I was just thinking about how you look at these movies where he uses color so strikingly, but then you look at a black and white like this one, and there's no color, but the feelings are all there still. It's very beautiful.
You're absolutely right. When I watch Black Sunday, it's like it's so gorgeous in black and white. And you're like, oh, I wish this guy had done nothing but black and white movies. Yeah, but then you watch one of his color movies, and like, oh no, I take it back. I wish Black Sunday were in color. He was just
we'd like to see what it would have looked like.
Yeah, I'm curious. Well, although it's so pretty in black and white, but then Black Sabbath is gorgeous in color. So
I read somewhere that Hercules in the Haunted World was pretty good too.
It's beautiful. It is. He does a lot with color. Now this movie, Caltiki, black and white. If it were in color, the tripe would probably look a lot like tripe.
Yeah, it wouldn't work, would it? Oh no. Yeah, in black and white, it gives it that nice texture.
That glistening.
Yeah.
Oh, the lighting in this is awesome. I mean, there's so many times where, like when he has the samples on the table in the boxes.
Yeah.
The shoulders and the faces of the scientists are in the dark. It's just so, I don't know, it's just so well lit, so mysterious.
Yeah.
Well, there's also one scene where the guy with the hand runs back to the I can't remember the guy, the main character guy, after his wife. He was after his wife, and he sort of runs up and looks off screen, and that scene is so well lit. It looks just like something out of Tomb of Dracula comic.
Yeah.
Where he's just he's looking off into the distance to see something, and that is lit so beautifully. The shadows fall so perfectly. It's just amazing.
I also was really drawn to the scene where Max is trying to run away from like the dogs and the officers chasing him, and just the way that it shows him his path kind of through the water and then out, and then you see the dogs looking for him going the wrong way. But then there's another scene where he just kind of walks off in the distance. It was almost like watching a hero walk in the distance or something. The way that it was, it was just really beautiful.
I think he falls into a little nice, comfy bed of posies.
I know that was. That's like, and that was a shot you could only do once, right?
Yeah.
Because they smushed the crap out of those.
I think one of the reasons I love Bava, because I'm aware a lot of times we give directors credit for things they don't do. It's like, oh my God, that beautiful shot. Only my favorite director could do that. And you think, the cinematographer is the person who actually is doing that. Now the director is giving them guidance and saying yes or no and everything. So they certainly deserve some credit, but it wasn't Dario Argento that was lighting everything and making sure that we could get those gorgeous blues and greens. Now that was his vision. So of course he gets credit, but with Bava, I feel comfortable saying, when you look at a scene, it's like, man, every frame of this is a painting. And I feel comfortable giving Bava credit for that because he's a cinematographer as well as a director.
Yeah, that's almost, that scene I was just describing is almost a signature Bava scene. The way it's lit and everything, you could almost tell it's one of his movies just from that. But
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Yeah, he is.
Jake,
so
show me a
good.
Coke.
Moving on to Daniela Oraka.
I like.
Before I forget, we were talking about Bill was talking about matte paintings and
Oh yeah.
that sort of thing. Remember at the beginning when Nieto is coming out of the ruins?
Yeah.
And there's this shot of the volcano in the back.
Yes.
Yep.
And it shows him run out of the left side down at the bottom, and then he comes into full view on this. Did you guys notice he was casting a shadow on that?
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, I didn't see that. No.
He was casting a shadow on that matte painting on the right.
They said, that first scene where you're looking and you have those sort of like Mayan god pillars sticking up, that they cut those out of National Geographic and pasted them on a piece of glass.
Nice.
Wow.
To make them matte. I never would have thought that. I saw that and went, wow, that's cool. Where's that? Is that a real place?
Yeah.
It looked beautiful. It looked
Yeah.
beautiful on screen until you could see
Well,
his big head
volcano
shadow
thing
in
was-
the back.
The volcano,
thing
looked great.
was some kind of weird trick too. They said they
Oh, it's like
shot
ink
it
and
upside
water.
down and it
Right.
was some kind of water thing.
Yeah, you
Exactly.
pour like ink and water, and then
It was cool looking too with the backlit, made the. Yeah, so she plays the one in love with, is it Max? Is that his name?
Max.
Yeah, Max.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the bad boys.
Her name is Linda.
Yeah, and we
Yes.
never really know if it's how their relationships. Like sometimes they kind of talk like
Well,
they're
she's
married.
a
Other
fallen
times not.
woman, and
Uh-huh.
he never lets her forget it. Yeah, it's a bad relationship.
Yeah, he's used her. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Now, let me just say one thing that they said somewhere near that Max was 33 years old.
No,
Well,
Now,
listen, life was
I-
harder back then. You didn't have.
I was
soft
going to
life
say,
like we have.
man, people must have lived hard and rode, put away wet back in those days. Because
Listen, we are
I'll be
all
damned
older
if
than
he's 33 years old.
we're all older than Wilford Brimley was in Cocoon. So I mean, some people just naturally age.
Well, he was only
He-
22 when he did the thing. Wilford Brimley. So
I'm working on it.
And I guess
Um,
she's supposed to be. They keep calling her a half breed, so I guess
Yeah.
she's supposed to, which I don't know. The only thing they did is put her in braids, and it's like,
Mhm.
she's exotic,
and earrings to kind of try to sell it. So,
right?
but she is exotic, so it does work.
Yeah, I
This
thought
is
she
very heroic too.
right. They kind of gave her a bad send off, though. I mean, I assume she died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, she got shot and she fell to the ground, and then the ground was taken over by globs.
Yeah.
So I doubt she snuck out. But
She either got crushed or eaten.
yeah,
or both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is, I'm just pulling a few things from her biography. It said she envisioned herself as a writer, but she entered a beauty pageant and was elected Miss Catania in 1953.
well, don't let that
And-
stop you.
After competing for the Miss Italy title, she made her screen debut in 1954 in La Luciana. Okay, so she decided to make Divorce Italian style with director Pietro Germi, and I know I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, but that's how it's spelled, Germi, and fell madly in love with him, although he was married.
Oh,
And she made she accepted a role to play an unattractive wife with a mustachioed upper lip.
ooh.
It was seen as an act of great courage for a young symbol of Mediterranean beauty. And the movie became an international hit. She won the Best Actress Award at the Avellino Neorealism Film Festival. And the movie received the Academy Award for Best Screenplay.
Huh.
For that, must be for that one. But then apparently his wife figured it out and put her foot down and kicked her out or something. She was abandoned by her former. This guy was a big shot in the cinema. I think he might have been part owner of the studio or something. But she'd been abandoned by her former colleagues. They said I was crazy when all I had was a nervous breakdown. And in the trivia, it says she was judged insane and committed to an institution at age 35.
Oh no!
But went on to write and publish 5 books.
Oh, yeah. I'll bet she had some good characters named after people she knew. Revenge.
So that was kind of the end of her acting career, but that didn't stop her. You know, she kind of went on to what she originally wanted.
I don't know too much about nervous breakdowns, but the 2 that I've had, I didn't feel crazy.
Well, no. Oh, Chad.
Well, I liked this character. I thought I thought she was really tragic, but not in I don't know. I kind of like that she kind of understood the situation. Even though she couldn't really help herself. She played that kind of role, which maybe you've seen before, you know, well, I thought. And I also liked the interactions between these 2 characters, because I didn't get any sort of jealousy between them, where it could have easily been played that way. They were friends, and they spoke to each other honestly. And
you're talking about the 2 girls at the top.
The 2 women at the top.
Yeah, 2 women.
I just thought that they were both really good characters.
Yeah, that's a good point. They did play good friends and everything. The one mystery in this film is why anyone gives this jerk the time of day. At no point is he likable.
Yeah.
And yet he has friends and lovers who put up with his nonsense even before he turns into a monster.
I didn't see much difference in him after the monster.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I kind of got the feeling that what is the name of the blonde-haired woman? Or I'm sorry, I think she was blonde, but
the redhead,
Ellen,
the wife,
the redhead, Ellen.
I
felt like if she wouldn't have known, like, that Max's character, Max was pretty smooth. He probably could have pulled off with someone else the way he was, like, you know, I was rolling my eyes, but he, you know.
Oh, she blew him off.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, she was like, whatever.
And he didn't take it well, which it's like, dude, you have no game. This is the least smooth. Hitting on a married woman who clearly has no interest in you, and you won't take no for an answer, and then you get a snit about it. It's like,
I know. It was such a.
I'm going to go back and tell my girlfriend.
Yeah. Can you believe the nerve of that? God.
Yeah.
So she was very beautiful in this, and got the lower end of things, I guess.
And then everyone's like, "Oh, don't go watch the virgins when they're doing the voodoo dance." And he's like, "Hey, you're not the boss of me." He goes off. That's how you get yourself staked to an anthill in the rainforest, my friend.
Good old Bob.
Yeah.
He was being an anthole. Now,
total anthole.
You weren't on last week, Bill, but that came up a lot in them. Don't be an asshole. All right. Well, then we have Dee Sullivan, who...
Well, she casts a mean shadow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You wouldn't think.
She did.
These, by the way, are pre-production. These are publicity shots. I just thought they were so beautiful. Nothing like that appeared in the movie, but they're gorgeous.
Well,
sort of.
Not with that hand, but I mean, she. Anyway.
Yeah, that hand kind of confused me, by the way, because when they took the thing off of him, it looked like, okay, let's break out bone saw, because there's no reason to leave this on, but they left it on. It's like, maybe it'll get better. We're going to put some Bactine on it. I don't know.
I thought it was going to take over his whole body, you know, like the...
like the blob, right?
Waiter mask.
Yeah. Later they said that it wasn't. It was actually mummified. They described it as being mummified.
Yeah.
But visually, it looked like it was stripped to the bone.
Yeah, it was. It was wet and gloopy looking.
Yeah.
You don't need to have that.
Just like his face at the end. Yeah.
That
didn't look mummified.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I loved his demise.
The scream, wasn't he still screaming when the skeleton face came out?
He actually uses his hand, his bone hand, to get out.
Yeah.
Oh, if only this worked.
So, this in her info. It
eaten
says
by
that
the bugs.
it says that she was often confused with Italian actress Didi Perego.
Okay.
But she's Irish.
Oh, well,
Didi Sullivan. So anyway, and she has almost no, like 13 credits, one of which was an episode of The Avengers. Yeah,
okay,
baby.
that's nice.
Anyway, I thought she did a good job too.
She was great in it.
Yeah, she was
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know why her husband seemed so uninteresting, but okay.
I couldn't figure that out either because they said he was a Canadian, but yet he was dubbed by somebody else.
Really?
I think he was.
Yeah,
I
I
think he
didn't
was
catch
dubbed
that.
by. I got to look him up, but I think he was dubbed by Arthur LaPena, who was in. What was the movie?
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
No, I'll look it up because he's in a weird movie like around
Right.
1960 that we did. Face.
Fiend
I don't know.
without a face?
I'll look it up.
Fiend without a
I'll look it
face.
up. Might it's not
I was
Fiend
gonna-
without a face.
I was going to say a lot of the Italian movies were the dubbing. It wasn't that they had a problem with the person acting or anything, but they were all going to be dubbed, even if they were going to be dubbed in
Right.
Italian. They were going to be done in post. That was just the way it was always done.
There's a really
Okay.
interesting documentary about Italian dubbing that I recommend people go to and watch. It's just really, really interesting, both on kind of the history of dubbing in Italy and its relationship to its government, and also the voices that become the voices for actors. Yeah, it's really and they're respected, the dubbers. It's just really interesting. So
Well, I put Arturo Dominici in the list of actors. He plays Nieto, which we don't really see much of past the beginning, but he ends up being the key villain in Black Sunday.
Oh,
Javuto, is he the?
Okay.
And then if you look at his credits, this follows up with what you were saying, Daphne. He had 282 credits under other, and you look at them, and it's almost all dubbing.
yeah.
American films for Italian audiences. And I think that there was something about that. They just didn't use boom mics and stuff.
Yeah.
And in the English dubbing, I'm pretty sure that they had them trying to speak that phonetically and then match the lips or something.
Yeah.
At least in some parts. Anyway. So fetching Didi. And now for the one we'd love to hate.
Oh yeah, this guy. This douche.
Gerard Herder.
He's the best.
Fake
Don't
hand.
And actually, I know
Don't make me slap you with my skeletal pimp hand here. I'll do it.
I'll kill the girl too.
No.
I'll kill your daughter.
Well, this says he was born in 1920, so he would have only been like 38 or 9 when this was filmed.
Cigarettes was a son of a bitch back then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did like when they're in the hospital and you see he's starting to get paranoid. You know,
Yes.
everyone's jealous of my skeletal hand. You know, whatever, dude.
Oh man. I know.
Man,
The man with the red right hand.
But he was fun. He just
Don't
like
touch
you
me
said,
with those two
he
bony
was
fingers.
chewing up. Yeah, he was chewing up the scenery. And in this movie, the scenery could be chewed because there was a lot of tripe around. So
Ah!
being a little pecky.
chewing the scenery.
I
Okay.
like mine with linguine and marinara.
So I'm telling you, I what's the other picture we got here? Is that the one?
Oh man, I love that bottom picture. That was such a great reveal of him when
Yeah.
when the other lady walks in and
Uh-huh.
look at that. Look at the. I
Yeah.
mean, just look at the lighting and the shadow.
Yeah,
and then,
it's beautiful.
it's
Tell me that's not
Yeah.
Sin City at that time. That time.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
my
Oh,
God.
right. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and when he's beating the woman, that's
Oh,
the
God.
nurse.
Mm.
Yeah.
The look on his face and the his body English and
Mhm.
stuff would just
He would not stop
Horrifying.
hitting her. He would
No.
not stop hitting
just
her.
he was putting everything into it, and
Right.
I got the feeling he was like right-handed too, because
Mhm.
he was like just really jerking his body around and really whip. God, that was horrifying.
When an actor does such a good job being a bad guy that you hate him in real life,
Mhm.
even, and
Mhm,
you know he's
mhm.
done
Yeah.
a good job.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, but
Well, I mean,
even like Doc was saying, the bottom image. I mean, it just makes me think even more about Bava. Like, that's like language there that's expressing this character, and it just
Yeah.
looks
Right.
it's so good.
The lighting is as important as
Uh-huh.
the stature. Yeah.
And the European films really could do this. I mean, this kind of reminds me of like Fritz Lang's M or something. You know, they knew how to use lighting. You can say,
Mhm.
oh, it's real simple. You just put a flashlight under their face, and it's like, well, yeah, it's trickier than that, but it's effective. There's a reason why lighting works, and just too much of the stuff we watch, it's everything's flat. They're just trying to get the scene in there. But this is
Okay,
art.
I'm gonna embarrass myself here. What's the name of the movie where the head's on the table, the brain that wouldn't die? That's suddenly came to me.
Okay.
That's the one that this guy is in. That
Really?
did a lot of dubbing. Not him. Not.
Oh,
not-
okay.
I'm
No, the
doubling
other guy.
back. I'm doubling back to what I mentioned before. I'm pretty sure he did the voice of John Merivale. His name is Anthony LaPena. I think I said Arthur. Anthony LaPena. So he's the assistant in that movie, and he plays a pretty big part.
Oh yeah,
But
he gets his
in
arm
his-
ripped off. It's great.
Yes. And in his bio that talks about him doing a lot of dubbing, and I had one of our listeners contact us and said he decided he was probably the biggest Anthony LaPena expert on the West Coast. He had
Nice.
met him and
Yeah.
had autographs and all this other
Oh,
other
that's
stuff.
neat. Yeah.
It is. So I've got we don't have obviously we don't have a picture of him, and this movie doesn't give credits, but one of the commentaries mentioned him as dubbing this. And when they mentioned it at first, it struck me that why would you dub a Canadian actor in English? I don't get that, but yeah, they weren't there. They had their own crews. All right, back to Mr. Berger. That's not his name.
Hmm.
What was
But I
his
mean,
name?
look,
Got to get a
Okay.
Perry Mason reference in there.
but he also has such an expressive
Hmm.
face, you know,
Yeah.
with the very
Herder.
distinct, you know,
Craggy.
cheek
Hmm.
wrinkles and stuff, and
Yeah.
when you know, look at that top picture. So I mean,
All
but
right.
he also, I thought he was great, especially the meaner he got, and
Yeah.
the more monstery he got, the better he was.
Well, and I think like you were describing his facial features, that really worked well with the kind of mummified face makeup that he had.
Mhm.
There was a couple angles where you could see it, and I was like, "Oh, it is mummified." You know, I mean, like I could
Yeah.
believe that it was mummified and not goopy. But
Now
yeah,
his character though tripped over his own feet way too often,
Well,
and each time he did, cost him body parts
yeah,
or in his
Yep.
entire body.
Well,
So it was,
I guess maybe. Well, let's do this quickly first. I say quickly. I forgot we had a picture of this guy, John Merivale. That's when I should have talked about Arthur LaPena or Anthony LaPena.
and he's our lead, right?
he's our lead.
He
And
is,
he's-
and he's kind of milk toast.
Boring.
Oh, he's milquetoast. He's sticking the mud. He's like, God, this so
Every
thankful.
time there's
we're-
action going on, but around him, he's going.
Oh, his expression is just like ridiculous.
I think he was. Somebody thought that he was going to make a good leading man, and then
He's good looking.
Uh-huh.
Sort of a Kyle
Yes.
MacLachlan look in that picture. Of
Yeah.
his heart.
Oh man,
Yeah.
yeah, not to say it.
he's got 26 credits and played part in A Night to Remember from 1958.
Oh, the the Titanic movie.
And another one called The List of Adrian Messenger,
I've heard of that.
The Circus of
which
Horrors.
stars Burt Lancaster, Kirk Douglas, and Robert Mitchum, and George C. Scott, and it just goes on and on. Yeah.
I don't imagine he dominated the screen around those guys, though.
John Huston picture.
He did a good, scientist, archaeologist guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. Well, and maybe he was supposed to tone it down so that
Yeah.
Gerhardt could.
Well,
dominate.
Yeah.
mission
He wa-
accomplished.
He was an uncredited newsboy in The Invisible Man from 33.
Oh, that's right. I did
Ah,
read
cool.
I did see that. Yeah.
that. Mhm.
So I need to look at that, but I forget who it was. I think it was Troy Howarth was like, yeah, everybody says that, but it's impossible to document.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't-
It's like I could say I was gorilla number 3 in Escape from the Planet.
There you go.
know?
I was one of the little baby gorillas running.
That's
around.
right. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I thought.
But this
I thought that
this
had
character was
dock
just so,
gate.
Yeah, during the school scene.
this character's like his hot wife shows up. It's like, honey, you've been working too hard. Come to bed. It's like, go away, attractive woman. I've got to do science so we can advance the cause of science. Here's a peck on the cheek. Okay, is that enough?
Okay, so we've mentioned the arm, and here,
There it is.
Grutastic.
yeah,
That
he's,
is, I
he's,
guess that is kind of like dust around his arm there.
Mhm.
and I think it's kind of a, is it a Bava trope? Is greed? Greed is kind of a Bava thing that people's downfall comes from greed.
Yeah.
Or is that
Definitely
just
in Twitch of the
everybody's-
Death Nerve.
everybody's trope? Yeah.
But this looks so.
Yeah, first the guy, the skin diver, right? He gets down
Yeah.
because he's greedy. I got to go down
Yeah.
one more time.
more for gold.
And then
Yep.
they're getting away. I got to go back and get that
Yeah.
sack of stuff.
Never mind why
Oh.
there might be a skeleton down there in the first place.
Or a few skeletons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. This bodes ill. Oh, they didn't have scuba equipment. I'm okay.
And then he goes,
This
"Oh,
is
my
so-
shoelace! Whoops!"
Mushy looking. If someone came to me and is like, "Hey, how are we gonna do this special effect?" and they're like, "I got an idea. It involves beef products." And I'm like, that is gonna look like pants. It's gonna look stupid. No one's gonna believe it. This looks absolutely horrifying.
It does.
Oh, and just the way that they pulled it back slowly and
It feels like
things
it's
were stuck
adhering
to it. Yeah.
Yeah, you get
it
some
was being
It is.
stretchiness
pulled,
going
yeah.
out.
Strings in there.
Yeah. Like burning off pulling off a burn
And-
skin or
Well,
something.
If Chad and I were doing a movie and we had to do something like this, we've got so many things at our disposal now that we, there's 100 ways we could do this. And they had the supermarket,
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Dang.
good.
I am hella impressed.
Well, and the I don't know how they did the prosthetic or the sculpture of the arm, but that is
Mm-hmm.
holy wow. I mean,
Only up to the elbow. I'll be slapping a woman later.
Yep. It
At
was
least
effective.
one.
It was very, very effective.
Yeah, it was.
And
I was shocked that they
I
had
know.
something this gross in the movie back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah,
I was already shocked when Bob died and you saw his, I was like, oh,
Mm.
that's kind of gushy. And, but then this came up.
Yeah.
Nice.
And like the first time they go to in the cave to be with the water, you get this pan over to like one other victim that's
oh
just,
right,
yeah.
yeah.
got like a bubbly eye and
Yeah.
like really I love
Well,
the way
no.
this thing
Oh,
just throw those scenes in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that
Randomly,
was
it
an
seemed like-
intentional name for Edgar Ulmer.
Edgar
he's
Ulmer.
over here. He's melted. I found
Um,
him.
And then we have
I wish we had a picture of his demise though.
we do.
Oh, we
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Oh,
I don't know
what's
which one
it
is
doing
that.
now?
Well, we'll just go through the monster shots here.
There we
Oh,
go.
there it is.
There we
But that's
go.
not well yeah.
That's not the best
beginning
shot.
of it.
Oh,
I wish I
there's
could've
one.
gotten-
We've got the other one. So that
Oh, good.
that first one on the top is where he goes back for the gold, right?
Uh-huh.
Looks
They
like he's
pull
doing
him
a
out of
Demir.
there, but his hand is covered with.
Go
You-
back
you-
for the gold. There's a blob monster coming there.
You
If
know,
there's anything bigger than an iguana, I am not going back to the gold.
Maybe not even the iguana. Right?
No, because they could bite.
Doesn't it look like he's doing a De Niro impression, like way long
Yeah.
before anybody knew who De Niro was?
You talking to me? You talking to me?
That's funny.
That's a big hunk of tripe there.
it is. I thought they
That's
said they
somebody's
used, like,
shower curtain.
Yeah,
200
yeah.
pounds a day or something. Well, they had something
Oh.
under. They had what did I see? Blankets under it, and then people under it moving, making
Oh.
it move. You know, or like
You
going.
know what they didn't have?
Oh.
Refrigeration.
Want that job, right?
Yeah. See, that was Jeff. Jeff was one of those people. He's uncredited as well.
Well, there's a story. There's a story from Day of the Dead where Savini had to use real pig intestines and stuff like it for the scene where they pull the guy into two
Yes.
pieces, and he
Yes.
said by the third day it was just you couldn't even be in the same room with that
Yeah.
bucket of
Oh.
entrails. So
I can't even imagine.
So his expression is
it's
like
probably
real. because
real.
he's
Yeah.
telling all that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Did you guys ever catch that some of the trivia says this is not surprising considering what we've been talking about. Flies were a problem.
Oh my God.
What? No way.
I wish they had a shot because they said that there was a fly. They had to keep stopping because the fly would reveal how the miniature.
Small it was.
That's exactly what it
was
says. Sometimes a fly when revealing the ministry.
You're trying to
that
do
is
your-
funny.
Trying to do a
love this
dramatic
system.
death scene and a fly lands on
Yeah.
your mouth right here and it's walking
Oh,
Oh,
around.
man.
Doesn't work.
You're trying to shoot
Yeah,
a miniature
that's-
and this
Yeah.
flies land. It's like, are those ravens? No, those are
That
house
would be
flies.
so
The
funny.
ravens.
Made
It's
from cloth.
the radiation. Yeah, the radiation.
Yeah, that's
with
it. That's the ticket.
So if
The
anybody
giant
else is,
fly.
you guys help me out here. But if anybody else doesn't know, I've heard about tripe before, but I didn't know what it was. So I look it up, and it's like the second stomach of ruminants. You know,
Right.
like cows
Cows,
and oxen
yeah.
and stuff like that.
Let me ask you this. Have you ever been to a fancy restaurant and there's like, a tripe is offered?
Yes.
No. Oh, really? God. I don't know what they'd have to do to it to make it worth paying money for. I've had it. It's
My mother-in-law used to eat it, and we'd go to an Italian restaurant, and they'd bring it out and it looks like a honeycomb pattern.
yeah.
Yes. Yep.
And it's either I don't know if they steam it, boil it, whatever they do to it, but they set it on a bed of spaghetti with meat sauce over it and cheese on top of that. And she would sit there and cut and cut and cut, and it was like she was cutting into a shoe sole, and then eat a piece and just chew and chew and chew. And
Dirty
Yeah.
stuff. Huh?
it
That
looked
makes sense.
I couldn't. I said, "Are you having tripe tonight?" I'm sitting on this end of the table.
Wow.
It was so.
I've had
gross.
it.
Oh my God.
I've had it because I'll try anything once, and that's how many times I'm going to try tripe. It was like eating ears.
Yeah, it was just.
It was gristly,
So
gristly, and not very flavorful, and very chewy as ears would be.
Or intestines. Intestine
But
skin.
it's very popular. It was my former father-in-law liked it because he remembered growing up in the Depression, growing up poor, and when you grow up poor, you get used to eating cuts of meat that are cheap,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and tripe is
Whatever.
cheap because no one's going to pay a lot of money for it. So
Mhm.
there's folks who have an affection for it. I ain't one of them.
Well, yeah. So they said everybody working on the filming complained about the terrible smell, and Mr. Herder here, Gerhard, or Gerard, maybe, I don't know. He got sick after this scene.
He looks like he's getting
Yeah,
sick
it
right
looks like
there.
he's sick now.
I mean, he's
actually-
totally enveloped in that stuff. And then
Oh
they,
man.
I forget which one it was said it, but they said that somebody in the crew thought they would save money by keeping it for an extra day.
Oh.
Oh,
And that didn't
Oh.
work so good. So just having
Got
it,
scabies from this.
Yeah.
I know. I
Scabies.
know. All right. Well, let's the real good one, I think. Which one do I have up there? I've got Monster. Then
What am I, a clown to you?
There it is. There it is.
There
Oh,
we go.
Yeah.
That's my favorite Misfits album. There.
Yeah.
yeah.
Now I will say the previous one before he turns into little skull face here, Dr. Fibes here. did you notice they did that trick, the black and white trick with the changing the lighting to make the lines suddenly appear in the face? It's good. I've always loved that trick. Can only do it in black and white.
And
even this with the wetness and the glistening of it is so. It was shocking to me to see in this era of movies.
There's an eyeball in the skull.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I love how they staged it, because he gets sucked in, and then you get some reaction shots, and you come back, and then that his little mummy hand.
Yeah.
and then his head comes out.
Yeah.
He does that thing. And I just
the mouth opens and he's still screaming and moaning.
Yeah. Oh,
he's
it's
still
great.
alive. Yeah.
I was so surprised by that. I did not expect that in this movie. But
it's cool when you get an old movie where you have an unexpected graphic violence, like the Flesh Eaters, which is another blob movie. Actually, has a few things in there. It was like, what year was this made? Like,
well, then wasn't Black Sunday was just a year later, right? Which is his first.
And that's got the mask being hammered into her face. That must have sent the exits.
Yeah. That's exactly. I was wondering what the reaction to these shots were back in 1959. Because you didn't see too much of that back then, right?
Well,
no, I did. I never did.
I
wasn't alive then, but I mean,
Bill, Lucas was talking about how Italy just wasn't into horror movies, because it was like, where's all these, there's all this dark atmosphere. Where's the dark places in Italy? It's all sunny and bright. At least that's the way he described it.
No, it is interesting. They did not. It was just not one of the things that they were into, and this didn't do well. And I Vampiri didn't do great. Now once they started getting into it, then we got a lot of cool horror out of it, but it just wasn't anything that a lot of directors wanted to explore, because there was no reason to think it was going to be successful.
Did it do better when Allied put it out in the States?
This one?
Yeah.
I don't think this was a success.
There was no box office data on the U.S., so I don't.
Because it's probably just a second feature to drive-in at best, right?
Right. And of course, I wonder how do you determine how much money a movie makes when it's going to be part of a double feature or a triple feature? Do they divvy it out equally? Do they say the one that's shown first gets the majority? I mean, I don't know.
I don't remember which one it was, but one of the movies we did, they had totals for like a drive-in engagement of a double feature. So they were kind of calling it half and half, I think. But anyway. All right. And then our last
monster. There's some miniatures, and there they are on fire. I do want to say, boy, those guys look great with the flamethrowers. Flamethrowers look boss in these black and white movies. They really do.
Except for the tank flamethrowers weren't so
okay.
Good.
Well, they look like toys, but
when that first crash, when the truck,
that's it on the top, I think.
Yeah. Is it?
Part of it.
No, that's the one where they're separated in the lab, and they're turned like that's the refrigerator.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. You're right. You're absolutely right. That wasn't too bad. But the trucks were not good.
No, it was almost laughable. It was almost laughable. But at the same time, there's a charm to it.
It's definitely charming.
Yeah. That little truck that ran and crashed, and a little match flame came out of it.
Flipped over on its side.
Do you ever notice in these movies, guys with flamethrowers are apparently just sitting around waiting for the call.
They got nothing to do.
And I'm thinking in real life, I don't think that exists, because there is no scenario where the police are ever going to, what would really fix this problem? A flamethrower.
Yeah. But thankfully they had them
here. What happened was they started a fire department, and everybody didn't know what that was at first.
Yeah.
Oh, we're supposed to put out fires. No.
Can we send these back? No.
Let's just keep them in case we're invaded. Yeah.
One of the elements about the creature, the blob creature, or glob creature, is is it dividing and becoming multiples?
Yeah.
I was impressed with that. I thought they pulled it off really well.
You know what that reminded me of? Another one of my favorite sort of glob or blob adjacent movies, Island of Terror. The Peter Cushing movie with the silicates on the island, and they kind of look like turtles with a tentacle.
Okay, that's on the list for us to do.
It's please invite me on because I love that movie. It's great. Okay. But there's a scene where they start dividing, and it really looked like this. They had to have seen this movie because they start dividing, and then there's like some chicken noodle soup between them or whatever, some strands, and yeah. But yeah, they would have kept on going and taken over the earth if the guys with the flamethrowers hadn't shown up. Thank you, flamethrower guys.
Yeah.
We'll call you next time a giant octopus or ants or something start taking over.
Yeah, well, yeah, they do the ants. Yeah.
So I did notice, Bill, that and Doc, where I really kind of knew about this was when Paul Cardullo did a Groovy Gory Gruesome Gold review 8 years ago.
Wow.
And there's one comment to that review, and it's from Bill.
Well, I've forgotten it, so go ahead.
No,
better
it's
not
great.
be me saying how much I hate this movie.
No, it starts off as fan of Italian director
Dear Penthouse
Bava. That would be me. And then he said, it's definitely the top 3 blob movies of all time, a genre that is composed of the blob, and Caltiki.
There you go.
No, Beware the Blob. No.
That wasn't one of the top 3.
That wasn't one of the top 3. Well,
just 58, 88, and Caltiki, I guess.
That's a pretty funny joke. I have absolutely no recollection of having said it.
Well, it was 8 years ago, so
well, it could have been 8 days ago, and I would have no recollection of having said it.
So I don't know. What do we have to finish up here? I love the monster, and I am engrossed with how they made that thing.
It was amazing.
It should inspire people to make movies because, here are these guys. We need a monster that could legitimately look like it could take over the world. What do we got? A cut of meat that nobody eats. And they made it work.
What they did with it, though, like when it's growing across the ground, layers of it are peeling back, as it's moving forward. That was it looked amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, I love it when it busts through the doors and stuff. It was just, it was just so much fun.
I know. I'm so glad I'm so glad that this came up to watch because I don't know that I would. I mean, I'd heard of it before and stuff, but I don't know that this is not what I expected at all. And I really enjoyed it.
I expected something more like the what's the one? It conquered the world. The
carrot monster.
Yeah. I expected something more like that. For some reason, I don't know why, but this was really good. So good job, Chad.
Yay, Chad! You came first.
Yeah, this is one I think I'll watch again.
We'll forgive you for some of your other choices.
Yeah. And I watched it twice. So
the other guy I didn't mention, I put his name on there. He had a very small part. Was Giacomo Rossi Stewart, who has a lot of credits, and he was in Kill Baby Kill is the first one that comes to mind.
And he was in something else that we did too. I'll have to look it up again. I recognized him.
What role was he in this movie? The old doctor?
The assistant.
He was assistant.
Okay.
I've known 2 Giacomos in my life, and both of them were necrophiliacs.
And not very nice people.
Yeah, and they were horrible necrophiliacs.
They were horrible people.
Not doctors.
Oh, he was in The Last Man on Earth.
Okay, that's what it was. That's what it was. But yeah, Kill Baby Kill. Yeah.
Great.
Mario Bava has a cameo. Did you catch it, Bill?
No, I didn't. I saw it in the workflow, and now I have to go back and catch that.
I think he's pretty much in shadow. I think they said something like, you might recognize this profile or shadow or something.
Yeah.
He was not, although he was sometimes called the Italian Hitchcock, he was not one who did the game of showing up in his movies. That wasn't one of his things.
Well, he's in some. He was in Zombie. Or no, that was Fulci. Sorry.
Fulci, yeah.
That's Fulci, yeah.
Oh, Fulci made a whole movie where he was the main actor.
I know. It was him.
Misconnection. Okay, well, I think that kind of ties it up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody.
It's anonymous. We all agree.
Anonymous.
Yeah.
But
5 out of 5 necrophiliacs agree.
Oh,
Wait, what?
the love
Don't
that
act
cannot suit his
surprised,
name.
Jeff.
Necro.
I thought I put tape over the lens on that surveillance camera.
Yeah,
all right.
but you put clear tape. Let's just say you
Well,
put
wait a
clear
minute.
tape. It didn't work.
You're supposed to use what? Solid tape?
Duct tape, yeah.
Oh, jeez. I got some work to do. All right. We have some feedback here, folks.
Feedback. We got feedback.
And first up, I love it. This is timely. Episode 108, Black Sabbath.
Wow. That is
From
good.
Sound of Silence. And I'm going to read just because it was kind of oddly worded. The person was really excited. If you remember in Black Sabbath, one of the pieces was the drip, drip, drip thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
Yes. Oh my God. Yep.
he said my apartment was exactly the same as that of the nurse's apartment in The Drop of Water. I don't know what that means. If it means it had a drip, 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 or the layout was the same, I don't know. That was a pretty.
That's
big apartment, if I remember right.
that's the La Goccia di Acqua, the drop of
Right.
drop of water.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then it says Harriet Medine, who was the neighbor in that, lived one town over at Porter Square, Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Huh. Interesting.
And
Cool.
then he goes on. The American version is 10 times better. Titus Studios did a great job on sound effects, more in the telephone in the U.S. version. The music is much better by Les Baxter. So this one, it was sort of I would appreciate the comment. Sound of Science, especially experiences like that of somebody that lived close by. Not too far over. All right, this time we'll pass this on. The Flesh and the Fiends, 189. Daphne, take that one. From user, come on, make up a username.
User, CI6NJ3EP1D. There's probably something cool there that I'm just forgetting. One version, okay, so this is Flesh and the Fiends. One version has cringy nude scenes deliberately put in place of the original scenes for overseas markets. For once, the UK version is the real uncut version. A writer fan of it said it was at the bottom of the bill underneath utter trash in drive-ins.
Utter trash.
Well, that must have been the one we watched because there was quite a bit of nudity.
Yeah, there was nudity in it. We saw the nudity. And I think
was it cringy nudity?
No.
No, I don't think it was
think
cringy
so.
nudity.
No, very untasteful though. Not cringy.
Well, the barmaids were just walking around with it.
Yeah.
Hanging out, so.
Hooters was bigger.
But yeah, maybe that was. Maybe, yeah.
Interesting. Well,
I thought it was a good movie. So when he said
didn't work,
at the bottom of the bill underneath utter
trash,
trash,
it did not really get much of a release. Part of the thing is Burke and Hare mean nothing to Americans. I mean, in England, you say Burke and Hare, people know that's the boogeyman. That's a big deal.
Yeah,
it'd be like going to Czechoslovakia and said Ed Gein, and they're like, So I guess it just didn't translate well over here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now episode 191, Planet of the Apes from Andy L. And Doc should probably read that.
All right, I'll do it. Hi, crew. When Doc mentioned Roddy McDowall on the Carol Burnett show, it made me think of the Carson clip. So I decided to share it, even if it's related to this to one of the sequels. And yeah, it's Paul Williams. He came directly from set and went to the Johnny Carson show in full makeup, and it's a great clip. All right. Andy L continues, like Jeff, I'm old enough to have seen the original Planet of the Apes in the theater, along with Fantastic Voyage 2001, Soylent Green, and Mega Man, which you also mentioned. I did also read the paperback book, but I don't remember specific details really well. but I think it was noticeably different from the movie from what I remember. I really wouldn't classify Planet of the Apes as horror, but it certainly falls well into the genre fans must-watch list. So I'm giving you a pass on including it. Thanks for another flashback to my teenage years. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Andy.
It's
Thanks,
pretty
Andy.
horrible to be touched by a bunch of damn dirty apes.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm
It's
sorry.
it's adjacent. It's
It's
adjacent.
adjacent. Yeah. It's adjacent.
I'm very loose on what I call horror, and I would. This was a horrifying concept. I would at least go to say that.
Yeah.
People,
And it's definitely
you
genre.
blew it up. And all right, and now we have some comments on them already, which just went
Them?
public yesterday.
Them.
So Mikey Z steps in.
Mikey
Where do we want to
Z.
go with this? Who read Daphne? How about Chad?
It's them. No, not the film in question, but the Grue-Crew. You can put away your magnifying glass, but keep it handy just to be safe.
What's he mean by that?
Who knows? It's Mike.
No, you burn ants with you never burned ants. With
Oh,
Oh, okay.
got it. Okay, got it.
maybe it was
I
just
was always
me.
afraid I would.
Luckily,
I was-
Bill's here to clarify.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the serial killer of the group.
Oh wow.
Yes, lining up little lizard tails on the mantle. Yeah. That's it.
I'm not
Well, the
proud
scary
of it.
part is your face blindness, because you could kill any one of us and not know it. I mean,
That's
is
right. I
sorry.
think Daphne would be safe.
Yeah,
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Insta
Thanks,
correct.
Bill.
Instacorrect and ant holes propagate this examination of one of 1950's essential films. The first of the big bug films to be shortly mimicked by such fare as Tarantula or Tarantula, The Beginning of the End, The Deadly Mantis, and The Black Scorpion. Them is miles above those with its characters and great giant puppets. As the Grue-Crew noted, these practical in-camera giants weren't rivaled until Bruce made his entrance 2 decades later in that fish movie. The Grue-Crew supplements its usual contingent by asking Gregory Crosby to join them. I first caught this on TV in the early 70s, and it scared the crap out of me as a preteen. The color titled them against the black and white background. Whew.
Yeah.
No, it's them, THEM. That noise of the giant ants over the desert dunes still gives me shivers. Sandy Desher as the catatonic little girl is probably the most iconic image from the film. Her screaming of them still brings chills today. Doc was smart and got the hell out of Dodge, Matt Dillon reference, before the end of the episode. No, he had another commitment to attend to.
I appreciate
We were
that
there,
he
Mike. We
explained
know.
that. I appreciate that he explained that Matt Dillon reference, because I probably wouldn't have. You got the Dodge thing.
Yeah, you wouldn't have.
No.
I'm slow.
Oh, sarcasm. Okay. Gotcha.
Ah.
Another classic episode, guys. Can't wait for the next one. Early Bava. Will Bill Mulligan join the GC? Stay tuned.
I don't know, Bill. Will you join us for Caltiki?
Yeah, sure.
He knows us.
Let me hop
He
in my way
does.
back
He
machine.
does. And then one from Emulous back to Daphne. Oh, Bill. We haven't done Bill yet.
No. And okay, Emulous 79 says, and you want to hear about my them, don't you? John Trent in the Mouth of Madness.
I'm missing it. I think must be a quote there that's slightly altered.
Probably.
Emulous, we'll
Sorry.
have to look that one up.
Thanks, Emulous.
I like
Your
the
your
mouth
stuff
of
is
question
usually
madness.
marks coming
gold,
out of
so
my
I'm
head.
assuming we're missing it. So.
Yeah.
And from Jose, where are we at? Daphne, I guess.
Okay. Such a great film. This is one to show to those who think all 50s sci-fi is dumb or phony. It may be the first film I remember seeing that had an ending without resolution, and I found that really fascinating as a child. Make a sergeant in charge of the booze.
Make me a sergeant in charge of the booze. Make me a sergeant in charge of the booze.
And then the rest of the ward starts singing along with him.
Yeah.
All right. And then finally, we have one from a new commenter, Jonathan Angarola.
Hey.
I keep
Doc?
wanting to read that as Joe Garagiola.
Angarola? Yeah, might have a soft G. Angarola. Doctor, could you take that one?
I can. Great episode, guys. You did justice to the ultimate 1950s giant bug movie.
It's cool how this
Thanks.
movie, this and The Blob are two of the 50s movies that people still really get into. I haven't heard anyone ever say a bad thing about them, and The Blob has a lot of affection, because a lot of them haven't aged great.
Mhm.
But this one works. I mean, I don't know. I really think practical effects. That's it. I don't know what obviously giant ants couldn't exist, but if they did exist and they could move, they would look a lot like that.
Yeah. Man, can you imagine this paired with like Tremors?
Oh yeah.
Because that has another practical effect
Yeah.
monster in it too, and that looked really great.
There's something about those practical ants that even though they don't look like real ants or anything, the actors are able to interact with it and touch them, and that's scary. It makes it more scary.
Well,
the more tactile it is,
Mhm.
And it is a giant robot ant. So if I'm the actor, it's like, okay, the giant robot ant's going to grab you in its enormous pinchers and carry you over there. It's like, you have tested this on like a sack of flour or something, right? Because I mean,
Yeah.
that
Don't
could
worry, Bilbo's on the controls.
yeah, they look pointy.
Me like levers.
All right. We love feedback, as you can
Yes,
tell.
thank you.
And we actually love just sitting here and yucking it up with each other.
Look at it.
But it's probably time to wrap up. We appreciate it. Thank you, Jonathan, Jose, Emulus. Who else did we have? Mikey,
Joe Garagiola.
Sounds of Silence, and Andy L.
And who's the person with just
user,
a random
CI6
letter?
User
NJ3
CI6
EP1D.
NJ3.
That looks like one of those things where it's like when they suggest a name, here's a name, here's a password that no one would ever use. Yeah, sure.
Well, it's
I'll
got
take it.
Jeep in there, so I don't know if the first four letters
Oh.
might say something, and then Jeep. Maybe they're Jeep owner.
Yeah, I don't
Maybe
know.
he just took his hand and mashed it against the keyboard when we
Yeah.
asked for his name.
I've done that for the Columbia House record thing. I just punch in a fake.
That's right.
If
Face
you're
email.
listening to this on a podcast app, you can see the pictures we put up by going to our Gruesome Magazine YouTube channel. And but
Fair warning, you'll also see Chad.
and me.
Which is reason enough to tune in the first place.
It is.
It's not all Daphne and Crystal. You got to see the rest of us too.
Oh, Bill.
I'm a pretty one too.
You can leave comments on the Gruesome Magazine YouTube channel, or you can send them to feedback@gruesomemagazine.com or on our Facebook group, which that last one from Jonathan was on the Facebook group.
Oh, nice.
Very
So
cool.
we
Thank you,
really
Jonathan.
appreciate that. And I think that's it. That's it for this
You
episode.
can comment on the Patreon too. There's a
Oh,
little
yeah.
chat.
Yeah.
Little chat
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, and by the way, we do have a Patreon channel where for just a few dollars a month, you can get our Decades of Horror, usually the day or 2 days after we record it, as opposed to like 10 days to 2 weeks, which is when it goes public. Also, we've been doing on Decades of Horror, the 1970s, a complete review of each episode of Kolchak, the Night Stalker.
That's been so much fun.
So we're
Not
getting
the
close to
last.
rounding up, but that's not
Yeah.
going to go public. That's only on Patreon. So if you're
Yeah.
a Kolchak fan, and you should be, check that out.
Oh, cool.
And there's some other stuff that goes on there periodically. So that's it for this episode. But every 2 weeks, we'll be focused on a specific film released between 1920 and 1969. Next up is one chosen by me. And actually, we need to talk about this.
Uh-oh.
This might take a while.
Okay.
Oh,
So I had two other films picked. One was Hangover
I want to
Square.
go home.
One was Hangover
Almost
Square
there.
from 1945. That's really kind of horror adjacent.
Yeah.
And the other one was Curse of the Crying Woman, a 1963 Mexican film.
Oh, yeah.
Both of them are on YouTube, but the one that I found on YouTube is gone now, and it
Oh,
was really pristine and
no.
had English of the crying woman. It was really nice looking and had English subtitles, but now the only thing on there is not good. And then I was gonna go with Hangover Square, but Daphne's doing, spoiler alert, the Spiral Staircase.
Ooh.
The next episode after that, which is kind of horror adjacent as well, from the 40s. So then I was looking and found The Torture Chamber of Dr. Sadism.
Oh, that's
From
right up your alley.
1967, which features Christopher Lee is in this movie, so it can't be.
The Jeff.
So
Moore
I'm gonna give you guys a choice. I can do Hangover Square, which is a classic from the 40s, or we could do The Torture Chamber of Dr. Sadism.
Oh, I want to see you stumble around with Dr. Satan,
Yeah.
Board of Satanism or whatever.
Okay.
Exactly.
We're doing the torture.
Okay.
The Torture Chamber of Dr. Sadism, 1967.
He's good friends with the horrible Dr. Hitchcock.
Yeah.
I think you're right. This is on Prime.
All you necrophiliacs, tune in next time.
Yeah.
So that's it, everybody.
Don't quit your day job.
I'm trying to get back to. Oh, here we go. You guys, thanks so much for switching up with me. You guys remember Eli? He's coming over.
Eli.
That
fun.
was when it fit.
Tell Eli he needs to come on with us again.
Yeah.
I know.
A great guest.
Oh God, he's such a dude. He's 20 now.
What?
Holy cow.
Wow.
He's 20.
Tell him to knock it off.
He's got a job. He's waiting some time. He got accepted into Berkeley.
Wow.
But he's got a waiting period here till next fall. So he got a job testing games for Sony.
Nice.
So a dream come true.
So he goes and plays games. Well, the one he's been doing now is the this year's MLB release, Major League Baseball. And then he's hoping that's supposed to come out soon, and then he's hoping to get
Cool.
to a
I'm gonna have to
one
talk
that's.
to that boy.
Yeah.
No, he's done a lot of stuff. I don't know what his major is going to be, but I probably
Tell him to
would be
slow
like-
down a little bit, because the older he gets, the older we get.
I know.
And
I thought he was going to be film school, but he's somehow, for some reason, he's really gotten into Russian literature lately.
Well,
Hey.
there you go.
So
Interesting.
some Dr.
That's some
Gogol.
good stuff.
I'm probably going to cut most of that, but yeah, I would like to. We could maybe get him on for another one.
Yeah.
Didn't he say in that episode that you guys did with him, like, didn't he call you Jeff or something, and then you said call me Grandpa?
Well,
I don't know.
It might have been the other way. I don't remember, but yeah, something like that.
Just laugh.
You should have had him on. You guys did V, right?
Yes.
DIY. Yeah.
Mm.
It would have been good for that.
Well, I didn't know he was into Russian literature at that time.
Well, who would know that? I mean, boy, that's
well, he is now. He's rolling through them. I keep sending him stuff like Harlan Ellison, and this would be a great. He still likes horror movies. I mean,
yeah.
He seemed kind of excited that Hellraiser was going to be coming around to the big screen on Fathom Events in February. So people
That
can
would
check
be
that
cool.
out if they didn't see that. Okay, enough about my family, but I think we're about done. I need to find the sign off here. Thanks, guys. Anyways, thanks for readjusting that was the whole point. Thanks for readjusting the schedule, and
Sure.
that was very helpful.
Sure thing.
Thanks to Grue Believers. Thanks to everybody. I love you all.
I'd like to say thanks to each and every one of you. I love each and every one of you so much.
Say
Except for
goodnight,
the
everybody.
necrophiliacs.
All two of them.
Yeah.
I hate you, necrophiliacs.
You just need to get to know one better. That's all. Then-
I don't want to know one better, especially after
Say-
I'm gone.
Well, eventually they'll get to know you. So.
That's
Say
what's
goodnight.
keeping,
Yeah.
Say goodnight.
that's what's keeping me alive for so long.
Oh, by the way, Chad. Well, I'll
Oh my
save
gosh.
it for 80s. But halfway through our episode on Dead and Buried, I realized why you were able to make that one,
Why?
because of the arm attached to the grill of the truck. That's
Disembodied.
Anyway.
That didn't bother me so
No,
much.
but everybody listening to this has no idea what are they talking
Okay.
This is stuff that usually goes on after we sign off.
They're like,
Say
wow,
goodnight, everybody. Say
the
goodnight,
the drugs
everybody.
really
Good
kicked
night,
in at
everybody.
146.
Good night. Good night.
Gruesome Magazine.